Good evening. Now, as a 3.6 trillion Kenya shillings budget has been termed by some as an ambitious budget, a 2021-2022 budget with more focus on the Big Four agenda and post-COVID-19 economy recovery plan by President Uhuru Kenyatta's administration. This is the last full-year budget that has a deficit of more than 900 billion shillings. We will be breaking down these figures for you tonight, as our reporters have been working round the clock for you. Good evening. I am Mudhoni Minor, but let's first take a look at the day's top stories. Tonight, National Treasury CS Ukuriatani tables in Parliament Kenya's biggest national budget ever, with a proposition to raise the national debt ceiling to plug a gaping financial deficit. Another big day for National Treasury CS Ukuriatani as he breaks down the government expenditure plans. It was his second budget day since he assumed office at the Treasury. Student in Kericho County nails his teacher in the head, literally leaving the school community in awe and the police in a manhunt. The violence was triggered by school fees balance. And another blow to President Uhuru Kenyatta in the courts as the High Court declares Executive Order No. 1 of 2020 that created the NMS illegal. Welcome to the broadcast. Our sign language interpreter is Mini Mbesa. Now, starting off, Treasury CS Ukuriatani will soon be seeking to increase the country's debt ceiling. Yatani has, however, assured that the country's debt is sustainable following concerns of massive borrowing. Yatani will be seeking to raise the ceiling from the current figure of 9 trillion Kenya shillings to a possible 12 trillion Kenya shillings. Yatani says this will allow the country to manage its debt operations and finance a 930 billion Kenya shillings deficit in the new budget.
Mr. Speaker, Kenya's public debt remains sustainable, but the debt carrying capacity has, however, declined. Financing of the fiscal deficit will continue to be strictly guided by the debt and borrowing policy and the annual medium-term debt strategy. Mr. Speaker, the government is implementing reforms to strengthen the institutional arrangements of public debt management by aligning the operations of the Public Debt Management Office to the PFM Act. In this respect, decisions of the day-to-day management and operations of the public debt management shall be undertaken by the Public Debt Management Office to enhance efficiency, strengthen accountability and transparency. In addition, Mr. Speaker, during this calendar year, we have scheduled a set of debt management operations to lower costs and risk in our public debt portfolio to improve on the country's debt sustainability indicators and sovereign credit rating. I look forward to support of the August House for the amendment of public debt ceiling set in the Public Finance Management Act to enable implementation of debt management operations, including financing of the fiscal deficit.
Moving on, members of Parliament have expressed mixed reactions on the 2021-2022 budget. Here are some of those that we spoke to.
First of all, this budget is aiming, first of all, to align expenditure to the areas that will drive the economy to grow. It's also ensuring that all projects that have been started will be completed. It's also ensuring that health is taken care of. The projects that Uhuru Kenyatta said that these are his key projects, universal health care, food security, manufacturing, and housing, which are integral to giving people decent livelihoods and decent lives, are sustained into the long term. All he's doing is planting the seed for us to nurture into the future. He will not be there forever. He will be finished with his term next year. And the leadership that takes over, it's in the best interest to continue the dream. So what he's done is ensuring that those projects have been funded. It's also doing in terms of putting who are cushioning the very vulnerable people in society. The youth through more grant, the micro enterprises through credit guarantee schemes, the businesses by ensuring there is funding and the economy is sustained with the inflation checked. So there are so many things that are all compounded in that, but the bottom line is that we are doing a balancing act.
I like that there is money that has been put towards the programs of the government, the rail, the port, schools. There's also the possibility, in line with the government's housing project, of giving 7 million shillings from the pensions for people to buy houses. I mean, there's a lot of good things in there. I really feel that, we're lucky that we have CS Yatani at such a time as this. This is his second budget reading. And of course, we've kept the country stable. Kazim Tani's got some money, the schools, the primary schools have got money. There's the formative stages in which we need to nurture our children. There's a lot of beautiful things. Taxation has gone to betting. We didn't want to see all our children getting lost in betting. No matter how good betting was helping in terms of sport, that's where he's stepping the money. He's stepping money on nicotine. For me, I feel there were lots of good things in the budget.
Mimi nilileta motion hapa bungeni ya kwamba kazi mtaani iweze kuendelea. Iwe ni kama ajira maalum ya vijana wetu. Kwa hivyo ile bajeti iliyowekwa itawezesha kaunti zote 47 vijana waweze kuwekwa katika jambo hilo la kazi mtaani. Jambo jingine ni mambo ya blue economy ambayo inaangalia bahari na maziwa. Kwa hivyo zile harakati ama the programs za mambo ya blue economy kutoka kule pwani zitaweza kutufaidisha na watu wetu wanaweza kupata ajira. Mambo ya special zone ambayo kule kwangu kuna Dongo Kundu Economic Special Zone ambayo pia imewekewa allocation. Hivyo basi tunajua watu wetu wanaweza kupata ile fidia ya mashamba na rasilimali zao na mradi ule unaweza kujenga ajira.
Well, I think any critique to today's budget presentation will be looking at two things, the form and the substance. In terms of the form, as you saw, this was one of the most low-key budget presentations in recent history. And that can be attested by even the number of applauses you had from the House as the budget was being presented. I counted less than 3 applauses in the entire presentation of this budget, 2 of which were actually applauses on the credits, not even the form and not even the substance of the presentation. It was on the acknowledgements when he was thanking the people who have helped him develop this budget, meaning that there was nothing to celebrate about the substance that was in the budget.
Areas of the motorbike, they have introduced some taxes, increased some taxes because there are spin taxes, but they have increased now. And we think that might hurt the youth who are already unemployed, because so many of our youths are actually working in that industry. And if we make it difficult for them to do that business, then we are essentially getting them out of market. And when we do that and we don't have an alternative for their employment, then I think we are shooting ourselves in the foot.
Mimi kama mbunge wa Matungu kutoka eneo la Western ambapo tunakuza miwa kama our main cash crop, niko disappointed. Hakuna kitu ambacho ninarudi nacho nyumbani, kwa sababu nilikuwa na matarajio kubwa sana kwamba waziri atapeana njia ya kusema kwamba tuna mikakati fulani imewekwa ya kuweza kufufua viwanda za miwa ambazo zimeporomoka kule.
Now, still on the budget, President Uhuru Kenyatta's Big Four agenda has featured prominently in the 2021-2022 budget. But despite the National Treasury's resounding assurance that the Big Four projects will save the economy from ruins, Kenyans remain of the opinion that the 2021-2022 budget is ambitious. But to say the least, the government has plans to purchase more vaccines to secure the country against the deadly virus, as Moses Salah now reports.
Wana Cabinet Secretary, karibu.
National Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yatani walked on the floor of the House to present what has come to be known as the most ambitious budget in Kenya's history, valued at 3.6 trillion shillings. Out of these 2 trillion shillings will be proceeds of government revenues, leaving the government with a 927.7 billion shillings deficit. And to make up for this, Yatani plans to borrow over 900 billion shillings. Treasury is seeking 271 billion shillings as net foreign financing and 658.5 billion shillings as domestic financing on the deficit. The country's recurrent expenditure stands at 1.27 trillion shillings, while judiciary has been allocated 15.6 billion shillings. Parliament will get 35.8 billion shillings, while devolved units will get 370 billion shillings as equitable share. The budget has given precedence to President Uhuru Kenyatta's Big Four agenda, Yatani allocating 142 billion shillings to implement President Kenyatta's legacy projects. Out of these, Kenyatta's commitment towards food security takes the lion's share of 60 billion shillings. The Universal Healthcare Program that is aimed at presenting Kenyans with access to affordable healthcare has been allocated 47.7 billion shillings, with manufacturing and affordable housing taking 20.5 billion shillings and 13.9 billion shillings each.
Additionally, we're also looking at continuous implementation of the Big Four agenda, because the Big Four agenda was not a one-year event. It's a program that we have planned and budgeted over 3 years, over the medium term. And they are at the moment at the various levels, stages of implementation. And we are confident that by the end of this financial year, we'll have significantly completed most of them.
The ambitious budget has received its fair share of criticism. A section of members of parliament have raised concerns on the exchequer's appetite for more funds.
Hii budget imekuwa very ambitious kwa sababu ni budget ya 3.7 trillion ambayo ni juu zaidi. Wakati huu wa corona ambao hatujui mambo itakuwa namna gani, uchumi wa nchi mingi imeenda chini na tumekuwa na challenges mingi. Wafanyikazi wamefutwa kazi, biashara mingi zimesimama. Kwa hivyo wakati unasema unaweka bajeti ya 3.7 trillion, hiyo ni budget ambayo ni ya juu sana.
But it is not all gloomy, with the budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1st as the government lays out plans to revamp the health sector, with the Kenyatta National Hospital set to receive 15.2 billion shillings to improve healthcare services in the busy referral hospital, an extra 14.3 billion shillings to acquire more COVID-19 vaccines. The universal healthcare has been allocated 47.7 billion shillings. Treasury has also set aside 23.1 billion shillings towards economic recovery post-COVID-19, with a further 3 billion shillings for youth empowerment under the Kazi Mtaani program, a move that is expected to reduce the unemployment levels in the country. With about 140 billion shillings being allocated to see through the completion of President Uhuru Kenyatta's Big Four agenda, National Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yatani insists that the Big Four projects will help recover the economy post-COVID-19. Musa Salah for TV47 at Parliament Buildings, Nairobi.
Thank you, Musa Salah, for that detailed report. Now, Treasury has allocated 23.1 billion to the country's post-COVID-19 pandemic economic recovery plan. The Youth Empowerment Program Kazi Mtaani is among the projects that have been allocated funds in what Treasury termed as cushioning Kenyans from the effects of the harsh economic times. Elizabeth Mutuko reports.
The 2021-2022 budget focuses on economy recovery plan in a country that has been hard hit by the COVID-19 pandemic. The government allocating 23.1 billion shillings in the economic recovery program. 2.6 billion shillings is set to enhance liquidity to business, while 6.4 billion shillings will go into improving education outcome. The Kazi Mtaani program will get 3 billion, while 1.9 billion shillings has been allocated to improve agriculture and food security.
The government will continue with the implementation of the economic stimulus program in the financial 2021-22. With targets to cushion vulnerable citizens and businesses particularly those affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. We have in this regard set aside Kenya shilling 23.1 billion in the financial year 2021-22 budget for continuation of this program.
The government insisting on its intention to support the role of private sector in economic development by facilitating credit access by micro, small and medium enterprises through the credit guarantee scheme, upscaling investment in ICT and digital infrastructure in order to facilitate the e-commerce and efficient delivery of the public services. Treasury also seeks to promote production process and domestic supply value chains, strengthen social protection through targeted policy interventions and programs.
Mr. Speaker, out of this, Kenya shilling 3 billion is earmarked for youth empowerment and employment creation under the Kazi Mtaani program. Kenya shilling 2.6 billion will go towards enhancing liquidity to businesses. Kenya shilling 6.4 billion for improving educational outcomes. Kenya shilling 6.9 billion for improving environment, water and sanitation facilities. Kenya shilling 1.97 billion for improving agriculture and food security, as well as Kenya shilling 1.2 billion for recruitment of health workers.
Yetani also directed the ministries to make payments of pending bills before the end of June this year.
Finally, we are also keen to continue stepping up the stimulus package that we started this financial year, and we are going to cross over into the next financial year, because we realized labor-based contracts and activities has an instant multiply effect to the economy, because you and me and everybody gets an opportunity to work, earn a living, and support the local economy. Additionally, we're also looking at continuous implementation of the Big Four agenda, because the Big Four agenda was not a one-year event. It's a program that we have planned and budgeted over 3 years.
The 2021-2022 budget is the last year's full budget for President Uhuru Kenyatta's administration, a budget which is not only keen on economic recovery but also for his legacy. Elizabeth Mutuko, TV 47 Pound Buildings, Nairobi.
Thank you, Elizabeth Mutuko, for that insight on the money that has been allocated to the economic sector so as to act as a recovery plan for the country. Now that story takes us for a short break. We'll be right back with more. To stay with us.
At Global Precast Panels, we have the best quality, durable and affordable precast panels to suit all your needs. Manufactured under a controlled environment, we have the best precast concrete panels, precast concrete floor slabs, precast concrete perimeter wall, precast concrete columns and beams. Our panels reduce construction cost by up to 40% with absolutely no plaster required, including added soundproof benefits, convenient four-story buildings, schools, offices, residential houses, hospitals, and warehouses. Take advantage of our free transport. Contact us on 0702 24 7267 or 0796 24 7267. Global Precast Panels Limited, your reliable option for efficient construction.
These are the sights and sounds of a working nation. There are no shortages to remarkable ideas. What's missing is the will to execute them.
You need to stay relevant. If you don't, you're going to fade off.
Yes, they are a dime in a dozen, but the real meat on these bones comes from trying to realize them.
You just need to perfect anything. If it's drawing, if it's music, pursue it 100% because it's something that is giving back.
Join me, Violet Njoki, as I tell you the stories of these executed ideas, because yours could be next. Mondays, 7:30 p.m.
Hey, now that's hitting the right notes. When life gets boring, we bring out our play. You see, playfulness is in our DNA. It's in the way we move and laugh. It's in the way we walk, the way we rock, and how we just don't stop. You feel me? we add color to everything, to every day and every dish. Because the world needs our crazy. We're the different flavors that make life more exciting. We're the ones who add color to every moment. Fanta, color every moment.
Well, the speaker is neither here nor there.
I should have done my outro.
Welcome back to News Tonight. Now, for yet another year, Treasury CS walked from the Treasury building with a traditional briefcase before reading the 2021-2022 national budget. Our reporter Josh Ansari captured the moments ahead of the budget reading and filed the following report. Apologies for that. We'll definitely have that report lined up for you later on. Now, the national budget for financial year 2021-2022 was today presented by National Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yatani. This is Kenya's heftiest budget yet, and Kenyans had much to say with regards to the 3.03 trillion budget.
Speaking with media after the budget presentation by Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yatani, Chamber of Commerce Chairperson David Olempatian reiterated that the health sector needed much more than the allocated funds since the country is now battling the new Indian variant of COVID-19.
Mambo ya COVID-19, kuna ile pesa ambayo imetengwa ni 13 billion. Ningelipenda ikuwe 14.3 billion. Ningeliomba serikali hizi pesa ndio ifike mashinani ziende through county government. Sio ikuwe tu kwa national government. Tunaomba sana kwa sababu kuna wale watu ambayo wajapata chanjo ya kwanza. Wacha hata ya pili, ya kwanza ni kwa sababu hawana dawa.
Olempatian warned that small business owners and entrepreneurs are set to suffer the prick of the year's budget, while demanding that pending bills should be cleared promptly before moving to other ventures.
Deni zile ambazo hasijalipwa, ningeliomba serikali kuu na serikali ya county wasingatie kwa sababu watu wameumia, wale ambao wamefanya kazi. Na isikue ni siku wanasema kuna ile bilioni kuna pesa ambayo imetengwa kwa hilo jambo. Ningeliomba wasingatie, wakati huu watu wanaumia sana. Kuna wale watu wamechukuliwa, wako na pressure, wako na nini kwa sababu hizo deni.
Mzee Peter Mukabi from Bungoma County, who's blessed with the gift of life and experienced all the 4 regimes in Kenya, says this is by far the most difficult of times he has ever lived. He says the economy is growing at a snail's pace to the detriment of the common man.
Nimeona serikali ya wazungu, nimeona serikali ya mzee Uhuru, Kenyatta, ile ya Moi, ile ya Kibaki, lakini sasa ya mwaka huu ya Uhuru ni mbaya ya mwisho. Hata wengine kupigia kura mwaka ujao, tutafikiria mara pili.
He hopes of many Kenyans, including the National Treasury CS himself, are, however, pegged on the Kenya Revenue Authority meeting the set revenue collection targets in the next 12 months. Mariam Mwacharo, TV 47.
Now let's go back to the previous report, where for yet another year, Treasury CS walked from the Treasury building with a traditional briefcase before reading the 2021-2022 national budget. Our reporter Josh Ansari captured the moments ahead of the budget reading and after, and filed the following report.
Outside the Treasury building, Nairobi, it was a budget moment for the country. Security was tight before the man of the moment, CS Ukur Yatani, headed to Parliament. By 10 minutes to 2, Yatani was ready and heading to Parliament to table the budget in a Volkswagen Passat car. Yatani took time for a photo shoot with the budget's briefcase outside Treasury Building and at Parliament Buildings, where he was welcomed by the House leadership. But despite the smiles in these faces, section of Kenyans still hold that there was nothing to smile about in the 3.6 trillion shillings budget. This man had it rough outside Parliament, where he tried to force his way into Parliament buildings. The budget procession from the Treasury headquarters to Parliament is one of the cultures which take place year in, year out. We'll wait until next year when another budget of the year 2022-2023 will be read. Joash Onsare, TV 47, Parliament Buildings, Nairobi.
Such a captivating report there on the insights of the moments that happened today. Now, moving on, Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury, Ukur Yatani, has announced new tax measures in form of excise duty, custom duty, value-added tax, as well as income tax to offset the 1.5 trillion deficit in funding the 3 trillion 2021-2022 budget. The new tax measures, as announced during the budget reading at the National Assembly, will take effect on 1st July this year. And as Mwangi Minor reports, below are the winners and losers of Kenya's biggest budget ever.
The new custom measures agreed by the East African member states and the proposed amendments in the Finance Bill 2021 are expected to generate an additional 8.7 billion shillings to the exchequer for the financial year 2021-2022 budget, CS Ukur Yatani announced while reading the budget. Among the sectors that have greatly benefited include the duty-free importation of inputs for the manufacture of baby diapers, duty-free importation for raw materials, and inputs for manufacture of masks, sanitizers, ventilators, and personal protective equipment (PPE, duty-free importation of inputs for the manufacture of roofing tiles, tax relief for contributions to the National Health Insurance Fund at the rate of 15% of the contributed amount. Other gainers in the 2021-2022 budget are employers who engage a minimum of 10 graduates from both universities and TVET institutions and will be allowed to deduct from their taxable income an extra 15% out of the cost of apprentice emoluments. Medicaments used in health facilities, including decongestants and food supplements, have been exempted from paying VAT. Diagnostic and laboratory reagents, artificial respirators, breathing appliances, gas masks, as well as medical equipment used in the provision of medical services have also been exempted from paying VAT. Inputs used in the textile and apparel sector have been exempted from VAT, while inputs used in the manufacture of medical ventilators and breathing appliances, as well as goods for exclusive use in geothermal or oil exploration and mining prospecting and equipment for the generation of solar and wind energy, have also been exempted from paying value-added tax. Leading the pack for the losers in the 2021-2022 budget is finished iron and steel products, which will attract an import duty of 25%. Leather and footwear products will be taxed at 25%, import duty on furniture products at 35%, excise duty on nicotine and nicotine products will be taxed at 5,000 shillings per kg. Betting will see a 20% tax of amount waged, while import on vegetable products, including potatoes, peas, tomatoes, among others, shall attract a duty of 5%. Mwangi Minor, TV 47, Nairobi.
Indeed, those are the new tax measures in form of excise duty, custom duty, value-added tax, and as well as income tax. Now that report takes us for yet another short break. We will be right back.
Global Precast Panels, we have the best quality, durable and affordable precast panels to suit all your needs. Manufactured under a controlled environment, we have the best precast concrete panels, precast concrete floor slabs, precast concrete perimeter wall, precast concrete columns and beams. Our Our panels reduce construction cost by up to 40% with absolutely no plaster required, including added soundproof benefits, convenient four-story buildings, schools, offices, residential houses, hospitals, and warehouses. Take advantage of our free transport. Contact us on 0702 24 7267 or 0796 24 7267. Global Precast Panels Limited, your reliable option for efficient construction.
These are the sights and sounds of a working nation. There are no shortages to remarkable ideas. What's missing is the will to execute them.
You need to stay relevant. If you don't, you're going to fade off.
Yes, they are a dime in a dozen, but the real meat on these bones comes from trying to realize them.
You just need to perfect anything. If it's drawing, if it's music, pursue it 100% because it's something that is giving back.
Join me, Violet Njoki, as I tell you the stories of these executed ideas, because yours could be next. Mondays, 7:30 p.m.
Hey, now that's hitting the right notes. When life gets boring, we bring out our play. You see, playfulness is in our DNA. It's in the way we move and laugh. It's in the way we walk, the way we rock, and how we just don't stop. You feel me? We add color to everything, to every day and every dish, because the world needs our crazy. We're the different flavors that make life more exciting. We're the ones who add color to every moment. Fanta, color every moment.
Well, the speaker is neither here nor there.
I should have done my outro from here.
Yes, no.
And we're just like that. I look beautiful.
Tune in to Morning Cafe, Mondays to Fridays from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. with me, Linda Alela, only on TV47, the home of Untold Stories.
Raukia siku njema na tunukiwa offers kila siku. Pata offers zote mahali pamoja ili uongeze zaidi, utume SMS zaidi na ubrowse zaidi.
Wewe usijali. Tuma namba ya kila supplier kwa hiyo soko. Enda Jubilee nitaongea na kila mmoja wao.
Very good. Piga *444 hash utunukiwe Credo double.
Raukia siku njema na tunukiwa offers kila siku.
A show with a unique perspective as
Welcome back. Now remember, you can send us your feedback at TV47 Kenya across all social media platforms. Moving on, Deputy President William Ruto has criticized the proponents of the Building Bridges Initiative Amendment Bill for pursuing a constitutional amendment to suit their political interests. Speaking today during a meeting with religious leaders, DP Ruto said that there were disparities in the national leadership as to what ails the country. He accused one divide of abusing their office in the clamor for constitutional change.
Uongozi na mamlaka ni ya wananchi. Na kila mmoja ambaye anapatiwa mamlaka lazima atekeleze kulingana na sheria. And if their agenda is in conflict with the Constitution, they believe the Constitution should be changed to fit into their agenda. We believe differently. We believe power donated by the people of Kenya, exercised by leaders, should be in accordance with the Constitution. Sisi tunasema shida ya Kenya ni ya uchumi. Na njia ya kutatua ni kuhakikisha ya kwamba tunatengeneza movement ya uchumi ambayo itahakikisha ya kwamba kila mtu, ile tunasema kazi ni kazi, kila mtu mahali popote alipo anaweza kupata kazi, anaweza kufanya biashara, na tunaweza kujipanga katika hali ambayo tutaondoa umaskini.
Moving on, police in Kericho are hunting for a Form 3 student at Aina Moi Secondary School who allegedly assaulted and injured the school principal after he was sent home to collect 7,000 Kenya shillings fee balance. Elsewhere, a student at AIC Litane Girls is admitted in hospital after she attempted suicide. Andrin Kileme reports.
Aina Moi Secondary School principal in Kericho County is nursing injuries after a Form 3 student drove a 4-inch nail into his head. The two had a confrontation after the suspect was sent home to collect a 7,000 shilling fee balance. Confirming the incident, Kericho County Commander Silas Gishonge said the suspect picked a piece of wood, hammered with a 4-inch nail, and used it to hit the teacher on the head and shoulders.
We are still looking for the assailant. His whereabouts is not known, but I think by the end of the day we'll have something to report. So far, officers are out looking for him.
Still in Kericho County, a student at AIC Litane Girls Secondary School is admitted at Kapkatet Sub-County Hospital after she attempted to commit suicide. According to medics, the student was taken to the hospital after consuming an insecticide. The mother of the girl says she committed the act after she was sent home for school fees. Andrina Kilemi, TV 47.
Such disturbing scenarios there. Now, moving on, the High Court has declared as unconstitutional President Uhuru Kenyatta's Executive Order Number 1 of 2020, which gave birth to the Nairobi Metropolitan Services NMS. And as Daniel Masitza reports, Justice James Makau ruled that it is unconstitutional for President Uhuru Kenyatta to purport to organize government and set out judiciary commissions and independent offices.
In a judgment delivered by High Court Judge James Makau, the court found that the Law Society of Kenya had demonstrated that the intended restructuring of the judiciary was a threat to the financial independence of the third arm of government. During the ruling, Justice James Makau explained that the order which placed sections of the judiciary tribunals, commissions and independent offices under the State Department in the Attorney General's office risked jeopardizing the independence of the judiciary. In 2020, then Chief Justice David Maraga publicly criticized the president after the release of Executive Order Number 1 of 2020, claiming that the head of state had illegally altered the judiciary's organizational structure.
This pattern puts a great risk to our constitutional democracy because it risks the contagion of lawlessness.
Following the CJ's outcry, the Law Society of Kenya LSK, through lawyers Arnold Ocheng and Mano Sea, moved to court seeking to annul President Uhuru's directive on the basis that it was done without consultation. Thursday's ruling against President Uhuru Kenyatta comes a day after former Chief Justice David Maraga slammed Uhuru for sidelining 6 judges in his latest gazettement of the Court of Appeal judges. President Uhuru Kenyatta's part with the judiciary can be traced back to 2017 general election, when the Supreme Court annulled the presidential election, leading to a repeat poll, with President Uhuru Kenyatta hinting at revisiting the matter. Daniel Masiza, TV47.
Now, the government of Kenya has announced the reopening of Kenya's space for Somalia flights after a 1-month closure, citing operational sensitive information. The reopening comes at the backdrop of normalizing ties between Nairobi and Mogadishu. Lakshan Laban tells us more.
Information given out by Kenya's Ministry of Foreign Affairs on Thursday says the move to reopen Kenya's airspace for Somalia flights is a goodwill gesture in trying to mend the bilateral relationship between the two countries. The move comes as a relief for diplomatic, trade and people-to-people linkages that have undergone undue strain since Kenya suspended the flights to and from Somalia on May 11th this year. But the Foreign Affairs Ministry directs that all the COVID-19 protocols set to contain the spread of the disease shall be adhered to. Among the directions given are all passengers and crew coming to Kenya will be required to have a valid COVID-19 certificate acquired within 96 hours before traveling, but this will not affect children under the age of 5. The ministry also says that all travelers will have to fill the international surveillance forms available on the Ministry of Health's website and submit it before traveling. Kenyan government had suspended all flights between Kenya and Somalia, citing operational sensitive information last month, barely 5 days after the Somalia government said it had restored the diplomatic ties with Kenya. It took Qatar's intervention when Kenya and Somalia border and other disputes had gone sour. But the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority had allowed the medical evacuation and the United Nations flight on humanitarian missions to be on operation. The Kenyan Foreign Affairs Ministry says the government and the people of Kenya remain true to the peace and development of the region. Lekishon Laban, TV47.
Moving on, 3 watchmen guarding Kivayo Boys Secondary School, Lugari Sub-County, were murdered in cold blood last night. In another incident, the body of a middle-aged man was found lying lifeless at his place of work in Limuru, Kiambu County, where he worked as a watchman, as Violet Oma reports. Residents of Kivayo woke up to sad news where 3 watchmen at Kivayo Secondary School had been butchered mercilessly by unknown people.
Watu wameuawa, maujumani wetu. Principal alikuwa ndani ya shule na amekaa huko mpaka wakati ambapo mili imetolewa nje, ndio tunaona anatokezea kwa nyumba yake akienda kuulizia na funguo za shule, ambapo hajui kwamba wafanyikazi wake wamekufa.
According to the residents, an unknown gang attacked the school at around 1 a.m. They broke into the music equipment store and took computers among other electronics before hacking the 3 to death.
Security wetu ambao ni polisi wa Matete wanaangalia mambo na mask, lakini ulinzi hawako.
Locals suspect that the murder is related to a court case that was ongoing where the 3 were suspect in a television theft case.
Wameaga ni kwa sababu kulikuwa na kashfa ilikuwa imefanyika. Inasemekana TV iliibiwa kwa hii shule na kesi ilikuwa ifanyike kesho. Na wale ambao walikuwa waende kotini ndio wale wameuawa. Na inasemekana ya kwamba principal alikuwa ameambiwa wenye wameiba TV. Tunaomba principal, wherever you are, sisi ndio tumepoteza kama Kivayo sublocation, kama Matete sub county. You have lost nothing. Tuambie wezi walikuwa kina nani na wabebe msalaba ambao umefanyika leo.
Kakamega County Commissioner Pauline Dola urged locals to stay calm as police investigate to ascertain the cause of the murder.
We visited each scene and we realized that they were ambushed because there seemed to be no struggle. It's a very unfortunate incident. 3 of them died on the spot. 1 is hospitalized. 1 managed to escape. So the one who managed to escape is going to help us with the investigations.
And in Limuru, Kiambu County, a middle-aged man's body, believed to be a boda boda rider, was found lifeless at his place of work. Boda boda chairman Michael Kagunya says the rider also works as a watchman at night.
Jana usiku akaingia na akaendelea na kazi yake. Bahati mbaya sijui hatusemi ni nini kwa sababu inaonekana ni kama jiko ama baridi limesababisha hiyo jambo. Kwa sababu venye tu alilala ile masali jiwekelea kidogo, hiyo ndio masali yaga.
Reporting for TV47, I'm Violet Auma. Such a gut-wrenching report there. May justice be served. Our condolences to the family. Now moving on, impeached Wajir Governor Mohamed Abdi Mahmoud has warned that the disregard of court orders will culminate to anarchy and lawlessness should his deputy continue assuming his former office. This is after Meru High Court ordered Mahmoud's stay at the governor on Wednesday despite his impeachment, pending a hearing and a determination of his petition on the same.
Embattled Wajir Governor Abdi Mohamud has declared disobedience of court orders given by Meru High Court on Wednesday. This is after a 3-judge bench appointed by Chief Justice Martha Koome issued his stay orders as the Wajir Governor.
That there were several court orders that were issued and were not honored. This is impunity of the highest order. And it said that I shall continue to be in office to execute the powers and functions of the governor of Wajir County as prescribed by the law until the petition is heard and determined.
2 weeks ago, the same court had barred the Wajir County Assembly and the Senate from impeaching Mohamud until a petition he had filed was heard and determined in court. The court had issued temporary orders suspending the governor's removal and the swearing in of his deputy Ahmed Mukhtar as his replacement. Prior to the press briefing Thursday afternoon, Mohamud had been barred from accessing the governor's resident offices in Westlands, Nairobi by security agencies. Addressing the press from a new location, he urged security agencies not to be used in political witch hunt.
And they start implementing court orders selectively, then I'm afraid this country will fall apart.
Otherwise, the people of Wajir are very angry with what has happened and are surprised why the museum is not coming to Wajir. But we don't want to cause clashes. It is not the government that is not observing the court orders. We know the person who's abusing his office. The person who's abusing his office and he is from Wajir. He is the deputy IG.
Grace Josephine for TV47.
Indeed, political wrangles being witnessed right there in Wajir County. Now, moving on, the Kenya electricity generating company KenGen has commenced the process of installing a steam turbine into the Olkaria 6 geothermal power plant. The steam turbine is a core component of the power plant that is rotated to drive the generator that powers the plant. KenGen CEO Rebecca Miano has said that the installation of the turbine marks its final phase of construction since its launch in 2018. Upon its completion, the plant is projected to inject 84 megawatts of electricity into the national power grid. Currently, KenGen supplies about 72% of the electricity consumed in Kenya, with over 80% of this coming from renewable sources. Now it's time to get sporty. Dennis Otieno, you're looking quite sharp on the other side. Do tell us what is in store for us in the world of sports.
Well, thank you, Mudhoni Maina. Well, you also do look sharp on your side. But with that said, tonight we have a lot that is lined up for you. We shall be telling you about the results registered in the FKF Cup quarter-final stage. We shall also be telling you about a partnership deal between WRC and KCB that will see to it fans get a thrilling experience of this Safari Rally. Now, this and more coming up in just a bit.